Welcome everyone to Witch Bitch, where we talk the real tea. And today we have Kristy Trede back on the show. We are so excited.
Yeah.
And
We love you.
yes.
We love you too. I love you too.
Yes. So today we are talking about psychic intelligence. At least that's the core of what we're talking about. It may go to some wild and wonderful places.
Which it usually does.
Yes.
Down the rabbit hole we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we were just talking before about, before going live about what psychic intelligence means to all of us.
Mm.
And we came up with some like deep stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I said that I felt psychic intelligence was a willingness to go to look inside and listen to your inner voice and be willing to kind of shut out the noise from outside so that you can hear your intuition and hear what your higher self is telling you. And yeah, I think that that's a real brave thing to do because we've got so much going on outside to take our distraction away, away from our inner voice. And what did you say, Juliet?
I was talking about, I feel very resonant with this, and also the fact of like the actual brain intelligence of our gut, our intuition, because we have so many. I'm pretty sure that it's actually brain cells, if I read it right. Brain cells in our gut, in our intestines, and then also our intelligence of our third eye, because both of them are linked to one another. And I kind of think the gut is the brain of the third eye. That's kind of how I think of it.
Yeah, and it's why we say, what does your gut say? Or listen to your gut, that comes from that.
Well, clear cognizance is clear knowing, and it's tied to the feeling of the gut. It's that gut feeling.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So true.
Yeah. So what do you say about psychic intelligence? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, so to me, psychic intelligence is really understanding how we hear or see or feel, like our inner voice that you were talking about, feel our connection to spirit, that intuitive flow, like how we receive. And once we have an understanding of how we receive that, to me, the intelligence, that's the intelligence, but actually putting the intelligence into practice is trusting. Like the next step is just full trust.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
Beautiful.
Unwavering trust. And the more trusting you become, the more unwavering you become on this inner knowing. This is the inner knowing. This is the gut, Juliet, that you were talking about, right? The stronger you become on trusting that, everything just gets easier. It's like you stop questioning everything. You start trusting your choices and your decisions and all the things.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from focus too, like where we choose to put our focus. And if we're really if we're good at knowing where to put our focus, and the practice begins that trust practice, then I think we can create more and more in our lives that ability to trust. It's like a practice. It's like, flexing the muscle. So that we learn how to trust deeper and better. I was talking to somebody the other day about viewing myself as a tree, and being able to put these roots down in from creating trust from these experiences, so that I may stand in my center. And when the wind comes, which is from the outside world, their challenges, whatever, people trying to be negative, whatever it is, and we get blown around like this, but because we have that trust in ourselves and those deep roots, we get blown, but we can always come back to center. That's how I see, the benefits of psychic intelligence and that trust that we're talking about.
Yeah. to me, that feels like a bit of like trusting our inner support system, right? And the centered, like coming back to center, to me is like coming back to presence, like complete presence in self. And to be able to do that, we need to tap into our felt sense, which is like the feelings and the sensations that are moving through us at any time. Because when we communicate, we have, we experience feelings and sensations inside of us, right? Emotions are simply energy in motion. So sadness is really the story why we've got the sensation. So if we start to remove the story, we just, we get to this point where we can really just drop into our sensations. Where am I feeling that? What am I feeling? Where is it going? How is it moving? And the more presence we have, the less noise from the outside world, right? You shared a meme yesterday, and I borrowed that, thank you very much, on TikTok yesterday. And I loved it. It was like, the ship isn't affected by the water around it. It's affected by the water that gets in it.
That's
right?
right.
And it's all of that stuff that's going on around. You can bring that in, and it kind of keeps us, if you look at our minds, if you look at anxiety and depression is all of that stuff you allow in, and it's from the past. It's not here in the present moment. It's not in this vessel right now. You're allowing that to come in. Whereas anxiety is fear of the future. It's when we throw our minds and create stories in the future, right? You go to a party, or you go to an event, or a family function or something like that. How many times do we walk around with stories in our minds of conversations we're going to have? They haven't happened. They're stories. It's all made believe, but our bodies don't realize that, right? If we can remove all of that, come back to the feelings and sensations in our body, we can actually quieten down those noises and come back to this complete presence. That's where we get to really drop into this psychic intelligence, right? And we can really feel those messages of guidance coming through. That's that unwavering, like coming back to center. I think support, like something that comes up for me a lot in a lot of my trainings, masterclasses, conversations with people is, and even readings, like when I'm doing a reading, I first go into a body scan. I feel into the felt sense of the person that is kind of like our energy is connected, right? And often I get this strained feeling down my back, to my right or my left, and I can usually tell if that's masculine or feminine. But quite often it's a feeling of not feeling supported by those around us. And one thing I love doing is teaching people how to drop into feeling the support for themselves. Do you want to close your eyes for a sec?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do this with me right now. Ready?
Yeah, cool.
Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Just imagine you're a dragon. And just dropping your awareness down to your tailbone. Feeling a big, heavy, thick dragon's tail growing out and going thud on the ground behind you. It's really long, really thick, really heavy. Just notice what you're feeling in your body as you sort of energetically lean back and you feel that support around the base of your back, around your sacrum. Whenever you feel like you're not supported, you can always come back to this feeling of support. This is your inner support system. You're always supported. You're always home. Coming back to the screen. Did you feel that?
I felt it.
Wow.
On my left side in particular, it felt really, really strong on the left. Yeah, and I can still feel it. I still feel it there. It's like I grew a tail.
I know, right?
So bizarre. That's awesome.
It's a grounding practice I use, but it's something that like you can really feel that support. How did you go, Juliet?
I only felt my head, and then I felt the tail when you were talking about it. I literally didn't have any other part of my body other than my head and my tail. And I think that kind of is resembling a bit of stuff
Disconnect.
internally that I'm going through at the
That's
moment.
okay.
But the power of this, like, and the beauty, I felt like, oh my God, is this me as a dragon? I was like, wow.
Juliet wants to be a dragon.
Yeah, and also
so
I'm
bad.
obsessed with dragons,
Yeah.
by the way. So yeah, it was really I could feel the presence, and it brought me presence, and it also helped me realize that I am a dragon. We're all dragons, and we just have to tap into that energy, own it. And
Yeah,
like you're gonna have to
totally.
go through like so much fear to become that dragon, because the ego's there. Like there's so many times where I can feel I want to be the dragon, but I'm scared of hurting other people, so I don't. And I know that being the dragon, maybe I'll hurt another person just by, that, because that's me stepping into my power, and people are attached to me, or whatever. But it's not my responsibility to hold myself back from being the dragon just because I'm scared of hurting other people's feelings. I do that all the time.
Yeah. Stop being small.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
And this is like where you get to, like, it's our responsibility to be all of who we are. That's what we're here in the world to do, right? And it's not our responsibility to make others comfortable so that we can step into our light, right?
Yeah.
If we shine too bright, they can easily put on a pair of sunglasses or walk away from the light. That's up to them. That's their choice, right?
Yeah.
We don't sacrifice ourselves to make others comfortable.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real challenge for me. I don't know why. I think it's just because when I was younger, there was times where I accidentally hurt other people's feelings, and it was always by accident. I had never hurt someone's feelings on purpose, but every time that I did, the feeling of hurting someone else's feelings was just so traumatic. As child me, it was like, oh my God, I'm literally the worst person in the world. I think that's where the fear comes from, not actually from hurting other people's feelings, but from what that feels inside me, like what that feels like inside me. That's where the fear really is.
So this is where you can lean in.
You can't hurt other people. They choose to feel hurt.
Yeah, as long as you're in alignment and not doing anything, we need to make sure we stay in integrity with ourselves. So, am I in alignment with who I am? Am I honoring my values and, all the things that I stand for? Am I being respectful to others, right? I think this is where you can choose to step into your psychic intelligence here too, because you can actually drop your conscious. You can do this practice at home. It's really easy, and I do it with pain. I do it with feelings and sensations, and all you need to do is take 4 or 5 really deep breaths and out, and just drop your conscious awareness down to wherever you're feeling that feeling. So you could probably do a body scan first, feel where that feeling is, and just speak out loud what it feels like, where it sits.
Yeah.
Drop that awareness down into that space and just get curious. Have a look around.
Yeah.
What am I hearing? What am I seeing? What am I feeling and sensing in this space?
Yeah.
What can I smell? What can I taste? Right? And then step outside of that feeling and look back at it. What does it look like from the outside? And go into a conversation with it.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? What are you protecting me from? Because it's only a piece of you that's protecting you.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
And whatever it's creating, like this shame or guilt or whatever it is, you can ask it, what do you need? It might be safety, it might be love, I don't know, it might be something else. And you can say, what does safety look like to you? What does love look like to you? Ask it. Don't just assume what that is, right?
Yeah.
How do you want to receive that? If I give that to you, do you think you could let go of the reins? And in that moment, if it says yes, you can look at it and you need to truly ask yourself, do I fully accept this piece of me? Like, do I fully accept it 100%? And if the answer is yes, you can help integrate that piece. And sometimes the answer is going to be no. Sometimes you need to keep revisiting this piece because it's like played out, you know, for a very long time in your life. And sometimes it's hard to sort of, you know, let go of the resentment of the hurt and pain that it's caused.
Yeah.
But the key here is using that psychic intelligence. This is how we see psychically, right? This is really tuning into these pieces and see what it wants to do. If you can offer it, invite it to a seat at the table. Let it be an advisor in, you know, the round table in your heart. But let it know that from this day forward, if it chooses to come and sit in that space at your round table, you are the queen of this vessel. It is simply an advisor. You'll listen to every piece of information it brings forward to you. At the end of the day, you choose and decide what is right for you.
Yeah, so true.
That's using psychic intelligence.
Yeah, I love that. That is huge.
Yeah, wow.
That is so helpful. Thank you so much for that. That feels loving and gentle and kind, and it holds this beautiful energy of intelligence, but with heart.
It all comes back to the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I've got goosebumps all up my back from what you just said. It's amazing.
Yeah. And, you know, I love doing this. I guide people through this. I do it myself. And the wisdom inside, because the wisdom is always inside of us, right? And it's not about shutting these pieces out. It's not like this is a piece of me that's acting up. I'm just going to ignore it. That's why it festers.
Yeah.
You know, you lock anything in a cupboard, it just festers and goes yucky, right?
Yeah.
You bring it into the light and you see it. You ask it what it needs. You love it unconditionally.
Yeah.
Anything other than love is simply a distortion, right? Which means it can be brought back with love.
Yeah. We were talking about that everything is a reflection of love at some level.
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
Even the worst thing that you can think of in this whole entire universe originated from love. Everything originates from love. Anything other than love is simply a distortion. Which means it can be, you know, if you think about a radio frequency like the shh, really loud shh, right? And you come back up here and it's, you know, really clear. You're just going to tune it in. You're just going to drop into your heart and love these pieces of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Oh my gosh. Every time we speak to you, it just feels so good. It feels like the information that we're getting is just so helpful and is not easy. I won't say easy, but easy to understand.
Yeah.
And it helps me to feel like it's possible for me to implement into my life. You know, and yeah, I just love that.
I
don't think we need to complicate things, and you know, just embodiment is the way. Feeling into our bodies, having this psychic intelligence. Our body is wise, so wise.
Yeah, and the way you've explained the process of embodiment, because you know, looking talking to that feeling, talking to the fear or whatever it is that's coming up, talking to it in the way that you just explained to help us embody things. That's the first time I've ever heard it explained like that. Like it helped me to feel like, wow, I've been doing it intuitively,
right?
But to do it more consciously now would step it up a notch.
Absolutely.
You know?
Even Juliet, you've got a cold. Today you could sit with your cold and imagine your cold on the pillow in front of you, right? And go into this conversation. What do you need?
Yeah,
and give it a voice.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's actually a really good next step, because yesterday I realized with this cold, it's been a while, like it's been 10 days, and also this year I keep having, like, every month or every 2 months I get a cold. And I think in a 3D sense, or maybe not even in a 3D sense, because it's even higher than that, but the reason I keep getting these colds is because I'm babysitting, and the kid that I look after keeps getting colds. but my body is choosing to take on the colds all the time, and I'm like, dude.
Oh my god! Have you read Joe
Seriously.
Dispenza's Becoming Supernatural?
Yeah, I think I've watched. I haven't read because it's a book as well, isn't it? And he also has a
I've got the
documentary.
Audible.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he has it on Gaia, and then he also has a book with the same thing. I've watched some of
Yeah.
the Gaia show.
Yeah. Cool. I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Because there's something inside of you that's probably, when you're with her, says, "Oh my God, I don't want to get another cold."
oh my god, all the time. And when the kid is cold, I'm like, literally, we have to social
Right?
distance.
Okay.
Like, I can't have another cold. I'm sick of it because it's been like months.
So
funny.
do you know Simon Sinek?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
So Simon Sinek. So I love listening to Simon. He talks about these like downhill skiers, right? When they're racing, they've got the finish line in front of them, but in between the start line and the finish line, there's trees that they have to navigate through, right? A professional skier does not go through going at like looking at the trees and going, I've got to miss a tree, I've got to miss a tree, I've got to miss a tree, I've got to miss the tree. He
Yeah.
looks at the finish line, right? Because if he's looking at the tree, going, I want to miss a tree, I want to miss a tree, he's gonna like completely come off the skis and hit a tree, right?
Yeah.
If his mind is on the finish line, he will literally navigate around the trees as he needs to. So be really mindful around the language, right? Because where the focus goes, the energy flows. The universe doesn't hear, I don't want to. It just hears, get sick.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to get sick? Here you go, right? That's where the energy goes to. So
You want to
rather
get
than
sick,
focusing on
Juliet?
that, just focus on, I'm really healthy. I
Yeah.
am healthy. I'm a healthy being. I am whole. I am fueled. I am energetic. Whatever it is, like call that in.
Yeah.
Visualize yourself like I am a healthy being.
Yeah, it's such a good reminder. It's so easy to forget that though. You know, when the distraction comes, like the kid has a cold again and you're like, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. It's so easy to get distracted.
Yeah, because it does feel like that tree. It feels like the tree, and
the tree's looming there.
And how on earth am I trying, like, because I get distracted by getting around the tree because it's like I'm literally gonna have to strategize, like how I'm gonna look after the kid, play with the kid, have fun.
Well, you can still do that.
You over there, dude.
If you see your body as whole and healthy, you can actually do that without even social distancing because you're whole and healthy. It's not, I'm not going to get sick. It's, I am healthy. You don't even have to mention the word sick. I am healthy. I am healthy. I am healthy.
Yeah.
I'm healthy. I'm wealthy. I'm wise.
Yeah. I do have a little song actually that I use. And yesterday I've realized it's like taking these little tinctures. If I do it mindfully, they've actually been what's really helped me, because if I do it mindfully, and I also use like a little bit of witchcraft where like you stir, I think you stir clockwise to invite things, and then you stir anti-clockwise to like with the intention to like get things out of your body, sort of thing. And so when I'm like making my little tinctures in the morning, I kind of have fun with it, and I put a little witchcraft into it, and I put intention, and I always speak love. And because what I realized is when I take herbal or any medicine really, if I'm not intentional with it and I'm kind of dissociating from it, it doesn't really do anything for my body. So when I take time and I put my energy and my focus and my love into it, it actually really helps me. Like yesterday I woke up feeling quite, I felt very much dense energy in my throat and in my sinuses. And then the second that I took my herbs and I put that love and energy into it, I was like, oh wow, I feel so much better. And
just goes to show how powerful we are.
I know.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a reflection of like where focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it with the intention to help my body, to put love into my body while it's going through some turbulent times. And someone's also mentioned that it could also be energy upgrades and body purges. And I actually did talk to my body. I like channeled my body through writing. That's another thing I love to do. If anyone hasn't tried it and finds difficulty channeling through meditation, because I do sometimes, especially right now in this point in my life, my brain is like gets really overwhelmed. So I like to have something physical to like focus. And yeah, so I wrote to my body, and there's definitely an element of
purging.
But I also think that just because of that, it doesn't mean that I can't, like, I can purge in different ways. There could be a healthier way to purge this energy moving forward.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You can choose a healthier way. I choose a healthier way to purge.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
We get to choose that. And I think also it's really important to recognize that sometimes when we get sick, it's because our body is saying, you're not going to stop. So we're just going to get sick and make you stop. Like, you know, we also need to look at that too. Like, why am I getting sick continually? Am I doing too much? Am I sort of spreading myself thin here? Before you mentioned about the head and the tail, like the dragon's tail, to me that feels like there's a bit of a disconnect, right, energetically. And I would actually invite you into just doing body scanning, like for the next 21 days straight.
That's such good advice from you, Juliet.
21 days straight, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And that all you do is just close your eyes and just imagine. I say it's like a fax machine, right? Going down our body, all the way down. It's like the light goes straight through us. And just start with like the light feelings that you can, like the feelings you can feel in the external parts of our body. Like right now I can feel my hand touching my chest, right? But it might be a niggle in my neck, or I've got a bit of a scratch on a tickle on my pinky finger. Speak it out loud. It's so much more potent if you do this out loud, right?
Yeah.
And you go all the way down to your toes and all the way back up again. And each time you go down, allow the feelings to get deeper and deeper, right? So you get like into your like energy centers inside your stomach, like, oh, I can feel the gurgling inside. What does it feel like? Oh, it feels like a cauldron bubble. I can feel the effervescent bubbles bubbling up through the water, or champagne bubbles like fizzing up through you. So you get really descriptive with the words, like, and the deeper you go, the more connected into the present moment you are, that you're starting to reconnect to the feelings of your body, right?
Yeah.
So important. So important. 21 days though. 7 days it takes to, as I should say, 7 days it takes to move through the resistance of doing a practice, like something new, right?
Yeah.
It takes another 7 days to really sort of land into the practice fully, because once you move through the resistance, then you're sort of in the practice, so allowing that to sort of just enjoy that. And then the next 7 days, it takes 7 days for it to land in your body at a cellular level.
Yeah.
21 days straight. Just do it when you go to bed, or when you wake up in the morning, before you get out of bed, or once you go into bed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I'll definitely do it.
Yeah, because I've been feeling with Juliet lately, and I think he's inherited it from me. I feel like over the years I've gotten a bit better, but Juliet, with the sickness of my dad too, when he was sick and he passed away, and we watched his body decline over those 2 years. Juliet was at a really tender age, a really formative time in her life, and I think it created a lot of fear in her, in how the body can, not because we control our body, but unless you know how to do that, it can get away with you, like it can run away from you, and it can take control away from you, and
Yeah.
especially in sickness and that sort of thing.
Mm.
So I feel like Juliet, this week in particular, I've been feeling from her the feeling of her being disconnected from her body
Yeah.
and being quite fearful of reconnecting back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've picked up on that is like A1, because I've been feeling it too.
Yeah. I think, it's really important to see our body as a temple,
Yeah.
like a place of worship. And when we see our body as a temple, self-care becomes the ritual. And, we become devoted to it. That's when, devotion to self is really important.
Yeah, it's the physical manifestation of self-love, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I hold those beliefs definitely, but in terms of executing and committing to those beliefs, it's impossible because of the disconnect for me. Because I of course, I mean, being spiritual, that's one of the first things that I learned was like my body is my friend and it's something to be loved and treated with respect. But first of all, I'm talking about my experiences. I'm not making excuses, but I was 16 when I first woke up, or just about to turn 17. And so I was going through the wars of body image at that time. So it was even harder for me to hear your body's your temple and all this when all I wanted to do was change it. It's
Right?
like, no, stop telling me that,
Totally.
And it took a long time for me to accept those things. And then now that I am, it's another level of frustration because I do believe those things now. I have accepted them, but I can't embody them because self-sabotage and that disconnect keeps like blocking it. Like food is one great example because I love food. Food is like one of the greatest like
Someone's
gifts
cooking
of this
over
world.
there. I'm like,
It's the greatest gift of human life. I really do think that. And I do go through these patterns of sometimes overeating or eating when I'm not hungry or relying on food. And I think that disconnect is a big reason for that. Like it's
Because you're
all
trying to feel something.
this disconnect that I feel.
that's
Oh yeah.
wanting to create pleasure. There's something that's painful here, and pleasure takes us away from pain.
Yes.
And this is where we start to create unhealthy addictions, right? I love that you've just brought this up because I've got an acupuncturist that I see here who has been my absolute health advocate this year, like probably for the last 2, 3, maybe 3 or 4 months now, and my whole entire life has changed. And we talked about this yesterday. And he said, because I said, I've just sort of the last maybe 3 weeks, I've had this insatiable hunger. Like I'll eat and I just don't feel full. I'm like, I wake up feeling hungry, and I don't normally feel that.
Yeah.
And this is all to do with my body being corrected, and it's like now going, okay, now we need to fill you up, but it's just trying to find its gentle rhythms, right? And he said what they do, like in the Taoist, because he's Taoist, he said we sit and meditate for 2 minutes with our food in front of us before we start eating. How many times do we sit down and like just go,
Oh my God.
and
my
he
God.
said, and what you're doing is just sitting there, you're like just in meditation, you're being thankful for the food, you're putting good intentions into the food. You can do this on your food, and just sort of, I like to imagine that it's going to fuel me, it's going to heal me, it's going to nourish me. I send lots of loving energy to my food, but he said 2 minutes, just sit there. It doesn't matter what you do, just sit there with it and just be with it. And then as you pick it up, just be really like, because you start, it's like you almost become really intimate with your food, right?
Yeah.
I do this with my coffee every morning, and I've committed to doing this with my food, which is just holding it, looking at it, like what he does with the 2 minutes, and closing my eyes, smelling it.
The full experience.
Right. And then when it comes time to eat it, so this is the other thing. And this I learned this in Bali when I went on that Bali retreat, Claudia. when I disappeared for a month.
Yeah.
Just randomly. And that was a tantric Taoist retreat, right? They were doing this with their food. I had no freaking idea what they were doing. I was like, yum. And but like what I learned from that is that when we spend time with our food beforehand, smelling it, looking at it, lighting up our five senses, this goes down to the gut, the brain, right? It starts the digestive juices going. So when we eat, the stomach is actually ready for the food,
Yeah, right.
right?
God,
Yes.
that
Another act of
makes
self-love.
so much sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's allowing your stomach to anticipate the food coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
Prepare.
already
Yeah.
there.
Prepare.
It's not going to shock. And then, your first mouthful, eyes closed, put it in your mouth, like feel the textures on your tongue, inside your mouth, hear the crunch because you can hear that when you bite into it, and just be with all the flavors in your mouth. Close your eyes because it absolutely enhances the flavors. And just slowly swallow that, and just like don't even go for another mouthful until you feel that land in your stomach, and just be grateful with it. And do that, maybe 4 or 5 times. And I'll guarantee, I don't know about you, but if I'm starving, I'm like,
Yeah.
inhale my food, right? So maybe you could try that, Juliet.
Yes. Another thing actually that's really, really good. And it kind of goes in with another thing that I've been doing, which is turning off technology when I eat and just like being there while I'm eating my food. Because I think part of me really enjoys sitting down, eating and watching like amazing YouTube videos about like van life and living off grid and stuff. Like that's something that I really enjoy doing. But at the same time, I think part of the reason why I like it so much is because it takes me out of my body a little bit.
Totally.
And
You're not present.
I'm not fully present.
No.
So,
5 senses bring you back into your body.
Yeah.
Brings you back into the present moment.
Yeah.
Whether you do that with food, or if people have anxiety, I say like 5 things. 5 things you can see, 5 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Literally in the moment, it brings you back from that anxiety, like from that, the anxious, panicky thoughts. The second you're back in your body, you'll hear, and those thoughts go away.
Yeah, wow.
Maybe not completely, but your breath will start coming down.
Yeah, awesome.
It's all about presence.
Yeah.
Psychic intelligence. It's all about being in the present moment. Everything we've spoken about here is coming back to presence.
Yeah, and embodiment of the present moment. Like that's, I think that's key, is being able to be in your physical
Body.
presence in that moment.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that can be really scary, to feel everything, to see everything, to smell everything, to understand things, and to be in that physical sensation of the 3D world in the moment.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I think that's where distraction has become, like it really, anything that distracts us from that in today's world. I mean, there's so much of it, isn't there? It's so easily
especially with TikTok
accessed.
now.
Yeah, it's so easily accessed to go into
addiction.
another.
It takes us away. It takes us out of our body.
Yeah,
It's creating pleasure, taking us away from what we're feeling here.
Dopamine addiction. Oh yeah, and I think like being able to, in this world, right? It's so difficult to, if you want to work, to not have technology. Like it's basically.
Oh right, yeah.
It's basically like, it's not impossible.
You need technology
but
to work and make money.
Well, if you want to work down the road of especially owning your own business, unless you want only a store, it limits you to not have technology in this world. So it's a matter of finding balance between the distractions.
Balance isn't this. Balance is being with the ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Yes, being able to be with the flow.
The world isn't fixed. The world is always moving around.
Totally.
And sometimes,
evolving constantly.
Yeah. So some days you're going to be watching, like you might feel like look, I'm getting a bit lost in my reality. Let's just let go and have fun online and just watch videos. I know that's sometimes what I do. And sometimes you go a bit I get a bit carried away. Sometimes I do. But
Oh my God,
it's
5 hours. Where did that go?
Yeah, the balance. Where
I
did
know
that
it.
go? Yes. And I think finding where we're in a world where we're kind of, I don't want to say forced because everything's a choice, but we're really pushed to have technology in this.
Part of the evolution.
It's part of the
the way
evolution.
forward.
Yeah. It's even harder now to not be distracted because you do sometimes have to go on your phone. You do have to like go into that world, and not only is it just like you can't just choose, oh no, I'm not gonna go on my phone, I'm not gonna have a phone, I'm not gonna touch that thing. You kind of do have to get on it. So
Yeah.
I think
it's even harder.
It's just working, like creating boundaries for yourself. Like
Yeah.
this is the key. Creating boundaries for yourself. Know what your limits are. Set timers. Like
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Timers for yourself. My Facebook tells me I still press ignore, but it tells me if I've been on it for more than 15 minutes in a day. I've got it down to 15 minutes.
Wow.
It comes up every day. You know, and I sometimes I get to the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I've got a whole day and I've only spent 15 minutes on Facebook today, which is good. Let's not look at TikTok at the moment, but you know, my whole life is on TikTok.
Yeah.
I think for me, there's days I do get lost in it, and it's almost like it like really sucks you in, and I really am not like integrated in my body. But in saying that, I create a lot of content on there. So like my life, well, not my life, but a lot of my work is in that platform.
Yes.
I'm also aware that I need to give myself boundaries around TikTok. And I notice when I have, you know, I do set days aside where I just don't go on it at all. I feel so much better in my mind, right?
Yeah.
That's
the first day, maybe not so much, but the second and third day, I do.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea. I feel like myself implementing that would be really important because I have a very rocky relationship with TikTok, right? Because I do get drawn in and I do watch it. Yeah, it's a very much love-hate. But there's so much. I'm trying to grow a lot of what I do via TikTok, and I'm like doing that. But then it gets to a point where like sometimes I just hate that app, and it's like I don't want to go on it.
But this is where you can actually just batch your content and put it up there, right? You can actually just go and put 6 videos up today, 6 videos up tomorrow, right? Because we're talking about 30, like we're not talking about 10-minute long videos. We're talking about like maybe 60-second or so videos, 90-second videos. So the beautiful thing that I love about TikTok is that if I was to come onto your TikTok page today and I started watching a couple of your videos, like for instance, my page, I only just discovered this yesterday. I've got 724 videos, right?
Oh wow.
And if you come onto my page today and watch a couple of videos, TikTok just starts showing you like every time you jump on other videos. Like the TikTok videos don't disappear like a Facebook and Instagram post.
Yeah.
You post there today, it's gone tomorrow. With TikTok, I've got videos going viral from like the beginning of last year again.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a different sense that I don't really think you need to be on it and producing every day. Set some time aside to go and like read the comments, like the comments, interact, do some video responses like that way. But you could like literally jump on there for, you know, maybe an hour, 2 or 3 times a week, 2 times a week to do your videos, and then maybe an hour another day just to go through all the comments, and you could like literally walk away from that and do whatever you want for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think with technology and anything to do with social media and growing a business and all of that, I think the important thing is consistency you know, as long as you're consistent with it, because that's what
Yeah.
we've found with Witch Bitch. There are weeks where we can't come on or things happen
Yeah.
and plans change. And the algorithm really punishes you for that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
especially on Facebook.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
consistency is one thing, but
Yeah.
also like you can't allow the algorithm to dictate to you how you live your life. So as long as you try and be consistent as much as you can,
Yeah.
like you were saying, post 6 today, 6 tomorrow, and then you can go away for a
Or
little while
or have them
and
all
redo it.
edited and sitting in drafts, and literally give yourself, put a timer on
Yeah,
5 minutes in case you get caught in a rabbit hole, to go into drafts and just press publish, like
Yeah.
already set up. You
Yeah.
can do that, right?
yeah,
You can do
yeah.
that daily then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
it's just being organized so that you're still
God,
present
that
in
word organized.
yeah, you're still present in the platform, but it's
Yeah.
not taking over and you're not being
Yeah.
ruled by it.
No, just creating order.
Yeah,
So true.
Creating order for you.
yeah.
100%. I think social media is a really funny one, and there's so many instances in this modern day life where, you know, things just come up out of nowhere, and
Such as
I was just getting to
All
that,
right.
thank you. Such as like petrol prices and oh my god, the list goes on book prices. Oh my god, books are so expensive. And like money is another big thing, and just even just going to the shops and being surrounded by so much materialism. Oh, this is a big one for me, because there's times where like I just want a white shirt or a plain shirt or a specific item, and I know I can just go to Kmart and get that specific thing. Or books are a big one. Like I love books so much, and it's hard to find specific books sometimes when you go secondhand book shopping. But I know I can get that book if I just go to Big W. But at the same time, I don't want to go to Big W. I don't want to put my energy into those stores, like, because money's just energy, right? So I don't really want to give my energy to those stores.
Yes, so it's a balance between
Yeah.
convenience and where you put your energy.
Mhm.
So like
You're still worthy of the white shirt from Big W. Like you shouldn't. This is where we need to go. Well, am I sacrificing my needs because of my resistance to handing my money to those companies?
Yeah.
They have the shirt I want, but I don't want to. Like, you've already put your energy there, knowing that it's there for starters.
Yeah.
And if money is energy, you've just done the same thing. It doesn't really.
Yeah.
It's just transactional.
I mean, totally. And I do end up just getting it. But I'm not fully embodied in the decision. It's kind of like, oh, I don't really want to do this, but...
So I would invite you into dropping further into what that resistance is, because I feel like there might be a worthiness piece there too.
Yeah, right. I think...
Because I think you do your best. I think you do your best to try and find things in a way that you feel comfortable with. But if it doesn't work and you can't find the secondhand book or white shirt or whatever, it's not a giving up to go. It's not like you're giving up to go to those big chain stores to find it. It's that you've tried something, it didn't work, so now you have to go to your plan B.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and we see things as like, I'm giving, but you're also receiving too. Like you're receiving the white shirt.
Yeah.
When we just do that from a place of love, it doesn't matter where we're putting our money.
Yeah.
Our energy. If there's a reciprocation.
Yes.
You know, yes, you're giving the money, but you're receiving that white shirt. There's a fair energy exchange there.
Yeah.
Between you and that thing.
Yeah. And I think you're, personally, from what I witnessed with Juliet, she's very mindful about these sorts of decisions. And I think as long as you're not kind of like just going to Big W every time and going, oh, I'm going to get this, like it's an unconscious thing. You're not mindful of it, whereas you are mindful of it. It's a decision that you're making, a conversation you're constantly having with yourself. So yeah, that's a worthiness thing, because that's huge that you do that. Like, that practice in yourself is a huge positive thing. It's a huge commitment that you've made to yourself and to the world about how you make your decisions. And not a lot of people can do that or are aware enough to do that. So kind of like give yourself a pat on the back, at least for that, you know?
And if you go to Big W, you get the white shirt, just like drop into your heart and find gratitude for having the things that you had to, you know, that actually allowed you to stop looking the world over.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because you're putting
Exactly.
way more energy into looking the world over just to not go here. That finally you resorted to going here because it was nowhere else, which means that it's just it's actually saved you energy.
Yeah.
So, you know, we sort of take away the big conglomerates side and just look at the fair energy exchange and just be grateful for that. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah. Awesome. Do you feel complete?
Yeah, it's been 50 minutes. Wow.
I know. It
I
went
was
so
like,
quick.
why are you asking me this now?
This feels like 10 minutes.
Do you feel complete?
It feels complete.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Oh, we absolutely so enjoy talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
much
I love coming on here and chatting with you guys.
Yeah.
We love chatting to you. We love receiving you and your words.
Yes, you give so much of yourself. It's just so beautiful. We really, really receive it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, my love.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yes. And yeah, we'll see you probably next week. Hey.
Yeah, next week.
All right.
Mwah.
Sending our love.